Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 200 of Shirt Show!
Wow. It's crazy to think how many times, like we've been doing.
Let's go!
Hey there, cutie pie.
Cutie pie.
Mm-hmm.
Hey there. And
Hey.
wow, 200.
200. That's a lot of fucking time talking to your sorry ass for real.
I apologize right now in advance of this episode. Yeah, that's a lot of times. I don't know. Like, I don't even know how it happens. It's sort of like when you get older, like one day you're like, how the hell did I get older all of a sudden? It just goes by. And so I can't even, I feel like it was just like episode 100, wasn't it like just the other day?
Yeah, it feels like it. Yeah, dude, that's 200 times like 3 hours for some, 4 hours for others. All the preparation, all the things behind it.
Yeah, I think if you do the math on that, that's like 1 gazillion hours.
It's like 1,000 hours.
That doesn't sound like a lot. We're just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know. Like it's, congratulations. I want to say good job. Job well done to you.
Thanks. You too.
Like, it takes a lot to show up and
that's it. It just takes a lot to show up.
Yeah. Like a few episodes ago, it was like, sign up or give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what point I was trying to make actually, but it did make sense a minute ago.
We didn't give up yet, is all you're saying.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you got it. That's part of us doing this so many times and having so many conversations is we kind of, like me and Joe, like I already know what she's thinking sometimes and she knows what I'm thinking. And I know what you're going to say sometimes already. And you know what I'm going to say.
You can tell by my eyes.
Yes.
You can tell by my eyes and my thighs what I'm up to and I want.
What's so funny is I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say my eyes and my thighs. I just knew it. Yeah. So that's how well we know each other. Like we're on the same wavelength. Our energy is the energy that it must translate over the Zoom airwaves from St. Louis to where the fuck do you live? I don't know.
Oh
somewhere.
God, yep. Someplace you've never been.
Binghamton. I would love to go. In fact, I've tried to get up there several times, but you keep telling me no. Like, no.
That's what she said.
Well, anyway, cheers. Cheers to.
Hey.
Oh, I don't have anything, but sorry. I wish we could have planned this better. And I would have had a liquid death over here.
But you don't.
I don't. What's going on over here? It's a beautiful day. We got some doors open, fresh air.
That's nice.
That
It's fucking freezing here.
St. Louis air is circulating in our shop. It's probably 65. I don't know. I love spring, those temps. We're running 2 or 3 presses. That's what we did all week. I think we might've turned on the third a couple times, but only for not like a full day or anything.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That means we're running it like 60, 70%, which isn't anything which actually is something to celebrate because we were slower like a month ago or whenever it was, so
What's the market? What market is it for you that's like ramping up right now?
Well, let's see. So yesterday we got an order for like 800 shirts for this landscape, really big landscape company. They also do, it's not just that they have a team of employees that, do landscaping, but they also sell materials for it. They have a big,
people that are getting ready for spring, basically preparing.
So right. They have, that's their uniform.
Right.
What's funny about them is they get 12 different backs. I don't know how funny that is, but I know, they wanted to say different things, different days and not always the same thing. So they have some unique, say it's one color on the back, which is good, but it's still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, also remember the other day I told you there was an order, we had 6 locations. It changed. It's 4 locations, but it's like 9 color, 9 color, 4 color, 4 color. There's
Yeah.
only 4 locations.
Transfer, screen print. That's all I heard. I'm doing that 5-color sleeve.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a customer a little while ago that was like for a New York City school, something for schools or whatever. And it was like, yeah, here's like a 2,000 piece order, but we need it to ship to 43 different schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, sucks.
We have one of those every year. It's a contract job actually. And it comes through every year, the same order. It's for a picnic for this big healthcare network or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the network is in like, I don't know, tons of different cities. And so it's sort of like that. There's like 3,000 shirts or something, and it ships to 80 locations,
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to decide,
which means shipping, receiving has to separate it into 80 different boxes, figure out 80
at the
different labels.
Yeah. So we print it all.
We do all that up front. So we do that when we count.
We tried to decide, like which is best. And we decided to just print it all and then pull and fill the orders and ship.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough one, but yeah. So that's the kind of stuff I guess that's here is a lot of school stuff, I think. And then a lot of, businesses that are gearing up for spring, things like that. I don't know. I'd have to go look through the thing. I can't off the top of my head. I just can't think, but, there's a radio station that does a big fundraiser every year right now. And so it usually happens a couple weeks earlier, but it just happened and that kind of stuff. And no, it's not the radio stations that you normally get the phone call. They're like, hey, you want to do trade?
Do you want to trade for your name on the airwaves, bro?
Yep. No, this one actually, they pay. So we've done it many, many years.
That's nice.
Yeah. Another pretty cool thing is we used to do work for this brand and then they brought it in-house, literally in-house, like in the garage, and they printed manually, which is pretty cool, but they have since grown and they are,
and they were like, fuck this. And they came back.
They're scaling. Well, it's not that they really said, fuck this. They just couldn't keep up with production. And so to fill POs properly, they're still doing it in-house, but they're also overflows going here.
Nice.
And then they were gone for like 4 years. Like we used to do a lot of shirts for them and then they were gone for years and now they're back. So that's cool, right? That's always nice
sweet.
when you pick up something like that. So yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
What's going on?
It's up here.
Nah, way. No way.
Yeah. Fucking crickets straight up. I feel like the markets we're doing are just not ordering yet. They're waiting for sunshine first.
Is it normal this time of year to be freezing still? Because it's April next week.
I know today it's like 40 degrees and cloudy and shitty. And I don't know. We're not really local either. I just feel like our markets, we don't do a lot of schools or shit like that. And the kind of stuff that we do is just not ordering right now. Like we have some, it's not the end of the world by any means, but it's a little bleak.
There's apparently an earthquake there right now too.
I know,
It's going to probably hurt production.
I should just embrace that. Problem is I can't. I got to twist my body. I'm laying down basically.
Well, you couldn't tell.
I am excited though. There's a lot of cool new things that we've put into place. We worked on some management structure. We finally have our outbound sales thing fully ready to go, which has taken quite a while. So all of that's new. We just got some new phones in. I'm excited for the future. We got website edits going up next week. New offerings on the website. Okay. When was the last time you updated your website?
1980, somewhere in there, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I just spent a month doing new things and overhaul, and I just sent it all over to the website company that we use. And I'm like, put it in. And then they told me I should have things to approve and look at next week. So I'm excited for that.
I just said 1980 and I heard some, I guess it's what comes after millennials? Is it Gen Y?
I honestly
No.
don't know because I
No,
don't
no,
ever
no.
think about air care.
Gen Z, I think.
I don't even know what I am.
Well, let's find out. When were you born? It was
Am I millennial?
It was a beautiful day in 1987. I don't know. I'm
Yes.
guessing. Was it?
Yeah.
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 So I think you're a millennial. Yeah, because it's between 81 and 96. So you're a fucking millennial. The whole point is it doesn't even matter. So
None of it matters to me. Yeah.
The point I was trying to make was that people that were born after the year 2000, so like anybody under 24, I guess, refer to like the last, the like 1980, whatever, they refer to that as the 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and I, we refer to like, oh, the 1800s or whatever, because we were born in the 1900s or whatever, but they're like, oh yeah, back in the 1900s. I'm like, wait, whoa, that wasn't that long ago. So that was the point I was trying to make. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay.
I forgot about this. I went to start my will.
Oh.
On Tuesday.
And you're leaving everything to me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will do my best to run it into the ground. Much like Shirt Kong.
I'm leaving you, Shirt Show. Yeah. I'll leave it all to you. No, it's kind of funny, like going in there and talking to the guy, to my attorney to like set the whole thing up. And it's like so much shit over my head because it's the business involved and the properties involved and like all the real estate stuff. And it's like, oh, we'll have to do this. What do you want to do with this? What is this? And I'm just like, dude, fuck. Can I just like leave it to my kids? He's like, yeah, but then we could do this other thing. We could leave it at a trust and do this and this. And I'm just like, holy fuck. So,
well, because if you leave it to your kids and it's before they're 18, or even if they're 18, then, they could just willy nilly spend it on like a Lambo or whatever. And you'd be like, well, that sucks, because they're making terrible decisions at a young age. So you have to say like, okay, well, you can't really get any of this money until age and just make up something 30, until you can make mature decisions.
That's honestly what he said. He's like, I recommend they don't get anything until 30.
Yeah.
He's
somebody
like,
has to be,
not when they're 18 or 20, because people will make stupid decisions. They'll get full body tattoos. They'll fucking spend it all on beer. He's like, by the time they're 30, they've fucked up life enough where they've decided this is what I really want to do. Start a family, buy a house, whatever. 30, they could really use that money or whatever by age 30. He's like, so put it in a trust, leave it there, tell them they can't touch it till 30.
Yeah.
And then they have it.
Yeah.
Hopefully I live longer than that and it's all good,
nice.
But
yeah, that'd be nice.
It'd be cool, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. It's weird. I think when I did mine, it's sort of surreal, because you're talking about your death and everything. And, you normally, like when you're in your 20s, you don't even think about mortality. 30s, really, you don't much either. You feel like you're immortal, like you're going to live forever. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I have this business and everything, and I want to, wouldn't it be cool if it existed like beyond me, after me, if I were to die now? And so you put this will together, then you have to talk about dying and stuff. And so that was how I felt the first time I had to get an insurance policy, a life insurance policy. I mean, because we had a commercial loan on a building, and they made me get a life insurance policy, and then put the bank as the benefactor, and so it was, I was like, well, this is weird and this sucks. I'm getting a life insurance policy. And like now, like somebody would probably be incentivized to kill me, because
I did find out something interesting, because the reason why I'm doing the will and I up my life insurance and all these other things is just because I did go through and do all that bullshit you made me do, which is good, which was like, incorporating the business and having the building in its own thing and like all this other stuff. And I was like, fuck it. If I'm going to do all that, I'm just going to do everything regardless of age, get it all done. So if I do get hit by a bus, like everything's taken care of. So the funny thing was, I was talking to my insurance agent, who's a buddy of mine, and he was talking about stuff. And I was like, dude, just like for real though, like what, like I ask all insurance people this, I'm like, how are you going to fuck me? Like if I die tomorrow, like how are you going to fuck me? Like, are my kids going to get the, a couple $1 million my policy says it is, or you're going to be like, here's 20K each because your dad died eating a sandwich. Like, what is going to happen? He's like, no, he's like, it should be the full amount, all this and this. And then he's like, also, and then he said something about like suicide or whatever. And I was like, I've always thought my entire life that like, if you committed suicide, like that's it. Like you voided the contract. They don't pay any money. He's like, no, you just have to wait 2 years. Oh. He's like, so if you start a life insurance policy and wait 2 years, after that, you can kill yourself and they can still get your life insurance. So I was like, I don't plan on doing that, but it's nice to know that.
Or you fake a suicide, then wait 2 years and then collect. And then you're just living in like Switzerland.
Right, you just live on my own money. Right.
Yeah.
I also told him, I was like, I don't want to say, okay, you can't even do $1 million policy anymore. Cause you're like, if I do $1 million and I die in like 30 years, a fucking Big Mac's going to cost $1 million. Like
at least.
And I have to split it between 2 children. So I was like, so I was like, well, we got to up this shit. Like this isn't going to be worth anything.
So 2 million you went with, so they can each get a Big Mac.
Yeah. I did 100 million a piece. I pay 30,000 a month premium.
Yeah.
It's good.
So look, it all starts with the screen, and whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com,
rank.com,
or
greatfuckingscreens.com.
That's right. Look, cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay.
It's the easiest way, baby.
It is. GraphX is the source for production-ready digital art and remote art staffing. We use them every single day. Learn more at graphxsource.love. Ooh, I really like that. They're going to have to get whatever those are called.
Graphxsource.love.
Yeah, they'll have to get that, which redirects. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's smart. Is there such a thing? There has to be.
Well, there's no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if not, we're making it.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing the right emotion for your shop is complicated, and that's why we love Chromaline. Go to chromaline.com to watch Kev's vids, or contact him on Instagram at the Emulsion Guru and get the answers you want and
desire.
Feel
like a late night infomercial. Desire.
Do they have those still? I think they probably don't.
I don't know. It was Girls Gone Wild when I was a kid.
Yeah, those were the days. Look, don't get it twisted. S&S has been our go-to shirt source since day one. They have
twisted.
They have 8 distribution centers, which allows them to ship to 41 states in one day. That's just one day. That's just 24 hours.
1 hour.
That's fast.
Order now, you get it in an hour, or it's free.
Come on. Get yourself an inside or outside rep or both at ssactivewear.com. We really did good there. We didn't botch that at all. That was beautiful, right? Okay.
It's so twisted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's on our special 200th episode of Shirt Show?
Dylan, today, Dave Gardner is back to celebrate the special episode with us.
What's up, sir?
Sir.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I call everybody sir.
Wait, well, I reserve that for older people.
Right, that's true. All right, Andy. I mean, sir. How's it going?
What was the saying I heard about? Oh, no, I've got to get this right. You ready for this? This is pretty profound. Never complain about getting old. Not everyone gets to do it. You like that?
It fits with me saying I just got my will done. I'm going to get hit by a bus next week, and then I won't ever make it that up. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't know if that's profound, but it seems quite obvious.
Well, I think that I sometimes, these days find myself saying, man, I'm getting old and I have to stop saying that because I think you start thinking that too much. I mean, I want to think that I'm young. I saw that saying. I follow a subreddit. It's called Gen X. I'm a Gen Xer, and so there's always good posts in there about stuff and growing up in the 80s and things. And so somebody had put that the other day, and I really liked it, so I kept it.
So you're a Gen Xer. So you got to settle this for me.
Yeah.
I identify as a Gen Xer. So technically, I'm the tail end of the baby boom. My graduating class was the highest, and then it dropped off by that, right? But 77 was, I mean, I look at it from like societal slots. It's 69 with a Summer of Love. I was 8 years old. So I got to watch all the cool shit that was going on in the 70s, but not or 60s and 70s, but not participated in any of it. And so it's like Sex Pistols, 77, the kind of the whole punk explosion. So me being at that time was like 16 years old. So, and Billy Idol was in a band entitled Gen X, and we're the same age. So that I claim my Gen X hood.
That seems like a no-brainer. Then you can just latch onto that.
Yeah. So I'm going with that.
So what's new, dude? What's going on? What have you been up to lately?
Just traveling a lot.
Anywhere good, or just back and forth to work?
Well, El Salvador, mostly. Yeah, that's back and forth to work.
Yeah.
So, working with Cygnus, getting an operation finely tuned, and I really enjoy the country.
Yeah.
So
I've always wanted to just go all over, and that sounds like a nice place to visit.
Yeah, it wasn't a while ago, but they've got their act together now.
Yeah. I wanted you to see this because Andy doesn't have one hung up. This is the better number Dave Gardner print with the note.
Dude is still bragging about this, like to this day. You can't let it go.
It's in the frame right behind me, just to remind you.
That seems a bit braggadocious. And I did watch the episode where Andy gave his explanation, and I kind of buy it. No, I kind of buy it.
Thank you, Dave.
Andy,
don't justify it.
Do you have? You have the floor. I'll give you a chance.
Yeah. So it's true. This has been a while now, so I don't remember every single moment of it. But
I do. I can read if you need any help.
See, it's locked in his brain.
Yeah, like I apparently gave you the stink eye, and I'm sure I did because I probably gave most. That's kind of what I do.
Right.
But I'm working on, becoming a better person, and it's one day I'll get there. I think that's what we have to do. Our whole lives we work on that, don't we?
Yes, definitely. We're all work in progress. So I think, look, the confusion on the stink eye came from. I think there's just kind of universal hand signals that we all recognize. There's the hinge wave, which is reserved for grandmothers and talking to little babies, right? And then there's the like see you outside. I might even double finger it, and then there's
there you go.
Yeah. Blowing it up. But the JF, I'd had something after the awards presentation. I had to kiss hands and shake babies. And we made it over to your
to the happy hour, but the band had stopped. And so we kind of just hung around. I thought I'd bump into you guys. And JF goes, "Do you see any of them yet?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, let's find them." So we were just kind of wandering around the floor, and I saw Andy, and we made eye contact. So I knew that he saw me, at least. And I just gave him the, like this, hey, with the two fingers, but one, the thumb pointing back towards the eye, which indicates very specific.
very specific. There was eye contact here, and I got no. It just came back with a just a.
He was doing one of
acknowledgement
these. He was like,
yeah, one finger. So not a big deal. I made we couldn't find you and went outside, and there you were. And then the whole the thing with the congratulations on the Employee of the Month award. Just kind of. And that was just misinformation on his part. So, I've been thinking about it, and I may have overjudged, misjudged.
Are you trying to say that I have to send my copy to Andy and we have to switch now?
No, I'm saying no. I have a better proposition.
Okay.
So I have a number 10. Now it's met for my friend Wade Davis. I just haven't sent it to him yet. But so Wade's either going to have a really good story and no shirt, or a shirt and a good story. Either way, there's a good story is going to come out of this. So I'm willing to put that up, but you guys are going to have to take a quiz.
Oh.
I assumed we were gonna get on this topic. I wasn't prepared for you to have it framed. And so what I'd like to do is just have a short screen printing related quiz, 5 questions. Find yourself a piece of paper and something to write on, because otherwise you're both going to have to go at the same time. But if you just want to do it, or
You're saying we got a pop quiz here?
yeah, it's pop. Yes, pop. But I'm pop.
So what are we supposed to do?
Do you accept the challenge? So I'm going to, I got 5 screen printing related questions. You will each give an answer.
Okay.
Preferably write them down so that we don't have any
I got my sticky notes on my computer up.
Okay, the sticky notes are perfect. And the winner will exchange their shirt for the number 10.
Okay. All right.
All right. Are you ready? Do you need to stretch or anything?
Yeah, I'm going to take a deep breath here, get some oxygen in my brain.
All right. Question number 1, and I have them right here in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers. Angling the squeegee towards the print in the direction of the print motion will A, increase, or B, decrease your ink deposit.
I'll take squeegee angle for 100, Dave.
Just let me know when you're ready. If you want the question repeated, I will surely do.
I'm done. I have my answer.
Yeah, I'm good.
Dylan, good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Let's see your answers.
Oh, we got to hold it up?
Well, what's the point of writing it down?
Well, I'm doing sticky notes on the fucking computer.
Okay. Okay, so he's got a sticky note. You say
I said increase.
Okay, so you say your answer,
virtual,
and then he'll
you need a
hold it
real,
up.
yeah. You need a real sticky note.
All right.
So Dylan just cheated.
That's okay.
Or is that? Or
I said increase.
No, okay. We're tied. There's still 4 questions left.
Okay. I just have to say mine immediately.
You want to? No. Go get your. Go get your stick. Go get your whatever. A real sticky note.
Hold on.
Dylan's one of those kids in class where you're like, he can't even get his name on the paper. I don't think. Like, you know what I mean? He fails before the questions even start.
Yeah. I was never prepared to give you the list of the first day of school of all the pencils and binders you were supposed to bring.
Yeah.
I'll wing it. Some nerd's going to bring 2. That's what I counted on.
That's right. Dave, do they get easier or harder?
Oh, do you think they could get easier than that? Come on now.
I know.
Question number 2. Right. Is there possibly an easier question? Would be the question number 2. All right. You set?
Yep. I got my Chromaline marker. I'm good to go.
Oh, nice. Okay. Question number 2. Woven fabric mesh made from cocoons of the mulberry silkworm gave rise to screen printing, which originated in this country. A mulberry worm, eh?
Let me Google real quick.
He actually looks like he's Googling.
No,
We good?
Good.
Answers, gentlemen?
I have no idea.
The
We both
correct
said
answer-
China.
Yeah, the correct answer is China. We stole screen printing from
China.
and righteously they're stealing it back.
Okay, we're
How the
tied up still.
silkworm does turn. It's a tie.
And if we
Question
tie
3.
this thing, it will be a fist fight then. How
Fist
about
fight.
that?
Fuck yeah,
If
I'm
we
down for that.
tie, then I fly there and I kick your ass.
I have
We'll be
so much
favorable.
rage to get out on you.
Pay per view. Question 3. This famous silkscreen print titled Maryland Diptych was created by this famous visual artist. Diptych. Maryland Diptych. I just like saying diptych. Just the
He's just saying dick tip over and over again.
diptych. You could say it 3 times.
So we have to name the artist.
Yes, this famous silkscreen print titled Maryland Diptych, there I said it again, was created by this famous artist. It looks like you've got your answers down. And yes, I said famous twice because this artist is famous for saying in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. The correct answer is, oh, he's shaking his head.
Dude, I have no idea.
Andy Warhol.
I said Dave Gardner.
Ooh.
So the diptych was just a chance for me to say it, but it was also a trip up. I thought famous Marilyn Monroe, Warhol screen print.
Oh, Warhol.
Yeah. Now he's got it. Ooh.
He's got Siri out while you're asking the questions. He's cheating.
Well, these are questions up until this point. I would say a 9th grader should probably be able to answer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This and they get a little tougher. In 1938, a group of artists coined this term in order to differentiate their own artistic application of screen printing on paper from the industrial and commercial use of the process. And I will repeat it. 1938, a group of artists coined this term in order to differentiate their artistic application of screen printing on paper from the industrial and commercial use of this process. He's
I
struggling.
have no idea.
You would see, like the Warhol, when you hear the answer, you go, "Oh,
So is it the process?
it is the name. It is the name for printing silk screening on paper, which is more referred to as a fine art than a commercial, say a poster or an ad.
Okay.
If you were to buy a fine, I mean, I'm giving you some latitude here. If you were to buy a fine art silk screen piece on paper. Looks like he's writing something down, but you might be writing, I don't fucking know.
Mm-hmm. In all caps.
All right, we good? And
You got something, Dylan?
I guess. I have no idea. I'm going to be horribly wrong.
all right, the answer, let's see your answers.
Flat stock?
Serigraphs. Yes.
Is that right? Andy, you're fucking cheating. There's no way you know this.
You've never heard of a serigraph.
I've heard of it,
Yeah.
but it's not something I would be like, oh, yeah, this is the fucking. You're asking the wrong person questions.
Well, these are all screen printing related. Maybe I'm asking.
Yeah, because I'm out here playing with my fucking serigraph.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. All right. I don't
And
know.
he's
That,
almost locked it up, but this is just for pride. At this point, I'm sorry. Dave Gardner is only the 3rd person to ever win the Impressions Lifetime Achievement Award. Name one of the others.
got to start over. I think I spelled it wrong.
I think one of these names is impossible to spell wrong.
Oh, And this person, there's actually 2 of these in this quiz, in this pop quiz. Interesting.
Yeah. You just need to get one of the 2.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got?
I want to say Andy, but I can't. I'm blanking out. That's all.
I will take it. Andy Anderson.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Beckman was the other.
Okay.
So
I figured it had to be Andy.
You got
where it was
3.
Andy wins.
But Andy wins.
I love how you guys playing this beforehand. That's not fair at all.
Why would we have played it beforehand?
Mm-hmm.
I was sincerely moved by his apology, and I just wanted to find a way to make things straight. And you were such a smug son of a bitch when you had it that we had to level it. Go ahead.
Yep. Spill the beans here. Totally planned. I didn't know any of those answers. I did actually know that you increase the pressure. I'm sorry, increase the angle. I knew that one. But yeah, thanks, Dave. This was Operation Cotton Wolf or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's the name, Operation Cotton Wolf.
Yeah.
Hey, I knew a few of them.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
I didn't know China. I think I knew. I would have known those 2, and I would have guessed Andy Anderson too. So I think we probably would have tied, is how it would have turned out. But I won, and I also have the prize already. So I kept it in the bag because I got scolded last time. But there it is.
You fucking cheaters.
Number 10. Thank you.
That means we get the fist fight because you cheated and lost.
Sure.
It was not a cheat. It was an actual creative way to accept Andy's heartfelt apology.
I get it. I understand.
It was fun. So where we go now? I think we probably know.
Andy, you had something you wanted to talk about before we got into the topic.
Oh yeah. I was listening to this podcast earlier, and they were talking about how, some of their first jobs shaped who they are today. And it got me thinking, like, some of my first jobs, what did I do? And some of them, were for money, obviously, because I was 16. I was like, oh, I need some money to buy. Like, I was saving for a car at the time and things like that. But some of them were because I wanted to learn how to do something. I thought it would be cool. And I think that most of them, though, were just because I didn't know better. And I ended up doing it. And then I actually learned that, hey, you know what? I never want to do this job again. Like, this is awful. And so I think that it helped me or motivated me anyway to, learn other things. And so I thought we could share just a couple of our first jobs that sort of contributed to, who we are now, like, or improved us, I guess, as human beings so that we could do the jobs we do now. So who wants to go first?
Dave.
Oh, okay. So, my first job was baling hay. At 14, you could go out and be the low man on the totem pole. They put you at the top of the bar, and anybody who's ever done it knows that next to like smelting, or it's probably the worst job on the planet.
And it's the hottest and the itchiest,
and you can't breathe the air. It's just, and yes, so what that gave me was a sense that, I need to do something that not with my hands. I'm not cut out for this. And God bless the people who do. So, and that was that kind of, and then in the spring it would be working the dairy farm and bringing the cows in and milking them. And with the high probability that you're going to take a kick to either your chest or the side of the head at some point.
Shoveling shit into the troughs. We had a guy, $5 jumped into a tank spreader, which I don't know if it's worth even the health risk. He's not with us anymore.
Was entertaining, and skiing. Grab the cow's tail. You could ski through the yard before it was cleaned.
That reminded me of a friend just doing bets. Doing stupid things for bets. And I had one of my best friends in high school. swallowed a goldfish in science class for, I think he collected $17 or something. Swallowed it live, by the way, which was a terrible thing to do, but he did.
This is a side note on that. We have I live in a small redneck town in upstate New York, and we have the Broome County Fair here every year, and they made the mistake of having the beer tent right next door to one of the fair games where you take a ping pong ball and you throw it in a goldfish bowl, and then you win the goldfish and take it home
in a bag. Yes,
in a bag. And all people would do is get hammered at the beer tent and then do the goldfish game and then eat the goldfish. So it was just, they had to move, they literally had to move them years later, to the other end of the fair because people were just downing goldfish.
I don't think it's any different than eating clams, but
an entire live fish.
Well, yeah, some hot sauce probably would have helped. So the second job, which was another one, which I should have taken as a positive. My aunt was town clerk, and I'm from Podunk town like you. I mean, so it was nepotism. They had a junkyard, and you needed to have a sticker on your car to use the town junk, and it was on Saturday. And then it was me and a guy who drove the bulldozer. Right now, he's probably in the union. He's making the big bucks, and I'm just there to check people's stickers as they come in. So the first Saturday, I'm being all hard ass, sorry, and I'm getting in fights with people. Hey, look, you got it. I got the sticker. I just don't want to put it on my window. It looks stupid. It's at home. Well, you need to go home and get it. Then the dozer driver pulls me aside and says, "Hey, just ease up on it with these people." That was week 2. By week 3, he says, "Don't bother checking anybody. What I need you to do is when they come in and dump, I need you to look for porn mags."
For him, for his collection.
Well, no, my job was to collect them and put them behind the back seat of the truck. And then Monday, everybody, all the town workers showed up and they rifled through and took what they wanted.
Sounds like a solid job. It's a job perk, basically.
Well, it's a government job. That was the best part. The taxpayers were paying for it.
Right, exactly.
So I got to feel dirty in several ways. And then and then when I started college, I had qualified for I'm trying to think of the names of the programs. There was a federal and a state program. Because my family was so large and the income was there, they paid 100% of my tuition. And if
financial aid.
Yeah, but it's there's an acronym for it. Anyways, had I been smart, I would have lived on campus because they would have paid for that too. But I thought I was being responsible, living at home and working at the supermarket to pay for the gas for my car and so after I did that the first year, the next year they cut my aid in half because I had made $5,000.
You went over the threshold or whatever.
Yeah. So it's apparently 100%, but then anything if you make, then they'll take it off. So I wasn't aware that's how the system worked. Now I'm boxed in because now I only got half. Now I got to work twice as much to make up for what they took away. And by the third year, they're like, yeah, no help for you.
I love how they reward the people who aren't willing to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, it was a good lesson for me, but at the supermarket, it was basically to in the I worked at the bakery and meat room. So it was like washing dishes and washing floors. And we're spending a whole lot of time on my early jobs. But
I guess the reasoning is, though, how did that shape you into what you actually wanted to do?
It's what every first job should be. It should tell you that like life sucks and it's hard and you really have to work at it if you want something better than being miserable at your job.
It's a
And
kick in the teeth, first thing.
yeah, and needed that. Had I not had that, I wouldn't have taken it for granted. And by the time I'm paying 100% for my college and having to, I mean, I would literally get done with classes, stop at a 7-Eleven and grab like a quart of Schlitz and down it down, and then walk into the grocery store because that's the only way I could face that job.
You're saying they didn't have Mountain Dew back then?
That wasn't what I wasn't look. That's not the effect I was looking for.
Right.
I was just trying to get through the first hour, but and then I saw the other kids in class whose parents were paying their tuition, and they would wait till 30 minutes before illustration classes started in illustration. I'd go home that night after doing a full day of classes and a full evening at the store and work my ass off on, and then I'd put it up in class because we'd have to kind of have everybody comment on each other's pieces, and I wanted my stuff to be the best. And what I started getting was, man, like, how long did you spend on that? I'm like, 30 hours. Like, dude, I'm like, well, someday you and I are going to be filling out the same application.
Yeah. And I'm going to win.
And I'm going to win. Yes.
Yeah. My first jobs were all customer facing things. And I was shy. Like, I was a shy kid. I didn't want to knock on doors. I didn't want to make phone calls or meet people or whatever. And I worked at a farm when I was 14 for a little while too. I did like hay and the cow stuff and all that stuff. But I would say real job, my first two jobs were at the supermarket. And I did register. I was the dairy manager for a while. So I did like all the front facing, like dairy products. And I also did the newspapers first thing in the morning at 6 a.m. on Sunday.
You mean you rode your bike or whatever around and
at the grocery store, like putting the newspapers together, because they would bring you like all the inserts and then all the papers, and then you had to bundle, like get them ready for the people to buy at the grocery store. But it forced me when I worked at the register to talk to everybody, like every person that came through. You had to be like, oh, how's it going? What are you making? What's going on? And it forced me to like open up and realize it's not scary to talk to people. And then I installed, like later on, I worked at the movie theater doing ticket taking. I love that job. Hours sucked, but I loved working at the movie theater because it was like unlimited movies for free all the time. And then I worked at Sears and I installed appliances. So I was like going into people's homes and like taking their old appliance out, putting a new appliance in. And that was also, I have a lot of creepy, weird stories from that. But all of those jobs forced me to talk to people. You know what I mean? And have like weird, uncomfortable conversations with somebody you don't know anything about.
Were you terrified? Were you terrified doing math in front of people? I mean, that used to be the pressure of the cash register. My grandparents had a corner store, and the person there would be going, yeah, they're already ahead of the total on you, and you're sitting there.
I couldn't do it unless the register told me what the change was.
Yeah.
Unless it's like obvious change.
So I'm old enough. We didn't have that. Like you had to ring it in, calculate the change, and count it back to the customer.
Well, I know it's stupid and I know people make fun of this, but I hate when, like, if it was say 18, whatever, and they hand you a 20, but then they like, oh, I got the change, and they give you the change. I instantly would be like, I have no fucking idea what it is now because you threw me off. Like, just give me the 20 and I know how to do 20 minus this number.
Right. They want to round it off for you.
Right. And I'm like, I don't know.
Extra.
I also still don't understand when people give you change back and they start counting. They're like, and 13 and 14 and 15 and 16, and they hand it to me. I'm like, what is this? What are you talking about? What are you doing right now?
I think the best one is I mean, I feel feel dirty about this, but basic corner yellow goose or I think is the big thing in our area. I went in and put like 6 items on the counter. Like in the lowest priced one was like $8. and the rough math in my head is like going to be about $24. And the person does the scanning, beep, 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 tells me what's on the collar, the thing. And they go, yeah, 924. And I'm just looking, I'm trying to like, is any of this computing? Are you seeing what's in front of you? Like, just do some rough math, just ballpark it. There's no way that's right. And then I went, okay, and just put my card in, because I figured it's got to balance out. There had to be several times it went the other way, and I just wasn't paying attention. So, yes, I think people just trust whatever, I don't even know why they're there. I think that's why they're being replaced.
Yeah. Then you can just leave all the good stuff at the bottom of the cart and walk out with it and say you forgot to scan it.
Well, not to go off, but this is how my brain fires in different directions. So I had a very similar experience coming through Atlanta last week with the self checkouts, and they've got big panels with LEDs around them, and green, red, green. And I step up there, and there's a couple red, and there's a green one open right in the middle, right? You can see it from 50 yards away. The panel's green. And I walk up to it and go to he goes, that one's not working. So there's an attendant there, kind of watching for when when somebody needs help. This isn't working. How do I do this? So I'm go to stand in front of it. He says, oh, that one's not working. And I said, I'm sorry. The green light threw me off. And he says, well, the green light means there's somebody in front of it. And I didn't even know how to process this. It's like, how do you get to the age of 20 something and not know the universal language of green and red means green's good, red stop.
Yeah.
But so if you run into one of those and it's actually green, it just means somebody's in front of it.
Right. And you can't use it, and that one doesn't work.
But you can't use it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, I wonder, I've never been to Europe, so I don't know the answer to this, but you just said universal color of, red and green. Are there stoplights in Europe the same? So, I mean, I don't know this, but you would think, is that universal? That'd be pretty cool.
If they're not, that's stupid.
I would.
Well, they drive on the wrong side of the street, so they don't drive on the same side of the street. I mean,
so they invert their stoplights.
Yeah.
So yellow is still in the middle.
That's right.
But red's at the top.
So I mean, red means go and go fast.
No, it still means stop, but it's at the top, so it messes you up.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I have no idea.
My first job was at a grocery store. Also, I bagged groceries, and it was a grocery store where we would take the groceries out to the car. So I learned sort of like you said, Dylan. I was shy. Also, I was a shy kid, and all of a sudden I had to talk to strangers. And we would take their groceries out to the car and load the car up for them and everything. We weren't allowed to take tips, so if they tried to tip us, we had to say no and refuse it, which I hated because I was like, oh, cool, give me a tip, okay. But I made, I think, $3, and I think minimum wage was $3.05 or something crazy. It's like you work all week and maybe you make $100. But that was my first job. My second, or I don't remember, I had a bunch of jobs when I was a teenager, but I worked at a telemarketing place, and we had to cold call people and sell them programs outbound first, and then I worked in inbound, which was much easier. But at the same time, here I am talking to people on the phone and getting better at, communication, I guess, skills for just, talking to adults as a young, like as a 16, 17, 18-year-old. But my favorite job I worked at a place called Little King, and it was like before Subway, but it was a sub sandwiches. And so
You're a sandwich artist.
I was a sandwich artist, but also delivery driver. So they delivered. And so we would go at certain times. We had open delivery, like over lunch and stuff. And so, by the way, this was back before you had Google Maps or any sort of internet stuff. So if you had this address and you would look on, we had this big map in the, in the prep area or whatever, and you kind of look where you had to go. And then you just go there and you figure it out, like you would know how to get around. And so now I don't know how people would get around. So many people rely so much on like a Google. Do you remember when, what was it called? when you would go on a
Triptych?
trip and you'd print out the
triptych.
Yeah.
Was, the triple you had. That's the only reason it belonged to AAA. Well, that and cars back then
MapQuest.
did break
yeah.
back then. No.
Oh yeah,
I'm
MapQuest too. You
I'm
print
pre
that out.
MapQuest. I'm pre MapQuest. This was like no PCs, no internet. You went to AAA and they'd make so like 3x8 sheet that you just flip over
Yep, on like
right
spiral.
on your trip to Florida.
Do you so this is something kind of neat that my mother did. So whenever we were going somewhere when I was really young, like 4 years old, she would ask me how to get home. Like, let's say we were at a grocery store. It's like, so how do you get home? And if I were to say we make a right here, well, she would go that way, even though it was wrong, until I recognized, hey, this has got to be wrong. And so we'd flip around. And so she taught me how to find places, or how to get around directions anyway at a really young age. And I did that same thing with my kid. And so he doesn't need Waze or Google Maps. My kid can find a place without that kind of stuff. I think it's important. Sense of direction, but I think all of that stuff, I think as we are, going through those years and going through our first jobs and learning how to do things like just showing up to a place on time, getting along with coworkers and, figuring that, hey, I don't really want to work here. This isn't for me. I'm not, cut out for this. All those things we just make us, I guess, prepare us for our future jobs and make us better at our future jobs. And so it was really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad I had to do this, some of those.
I think all the things with like being able to talk to people has been huge. Like that's my entire business, like making sales and talking to people and growing relationships. If I was still that shy kid, I don't know if I would have picked up the phone as much. I don't know if I would have done all those things. So
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
I'm distracted. Did you literally rip the painting off your wall?
It
Me?
fell.
See behind you?
Oh, the thing
fell.
behind you, part of
I
it
set
fell
it
down.
here. I didn't have time to hang it.
You're that upset.
Here, I'll just keep it on my lap.
No, that's fine. That's fine. There was some force at work there.
So Dave, you wanted to talk about the creative process. My wife right now is going through this creative process. She has an art show that's later this fall, and she has to come up with 50 paintings at least. And she's so far has spent, I think, like 6 weeks just trying to figure out what that's going to be, like what the theme is. And she keeps going down, like she thinks she has it, and she'll do a couple of them and say, no, I'm not feeling it. Like and then try something else. And so, I don't know. I think that there's different stages people go through. And you mentioned, we were chatting the other day and you mentioned something like that, how you go through it. And so I thought you could share that.
Yeah, no. And I think we had talked before and I think your wife was having the same kind of lock. And I said, you just need to start the journey and you need to if you were to use like a mountain climbing analogy, you'd want to make sure that, you had the proper stuff to start with and calculate everything, but know that something's going to go wrong on the way and you have to adjust. And I think if you're in the process of starting a piece of work, not to fight it, right? And like if you're writing a song, you're creating a painting, and you've got this thing in your head, and you're just going to battle with it because it's not coming out the way you want it to. This isn't doing what I want it to. You just have to give yourself into let the piece tell you what it's going to be, and that's a tricky tightrope to walk, and it takes experience to just have the trust that it'll happen. But I think I want to back up from that because I think if you start at a baseline, I think it's appropriate because we were just talking about how we start at a baseline of becoming the people we are at work, right? So at the baseline, you have to ask yourself, where does creativity come from, and what is that process, and what makes it so important, right? So when you look, I would say, look at humans who are uniquely creative, right? Animals don't tend to make paintings or, they do some things out of necessity, but human beings seem to be the species that is uniquely creative. And it's actually next to procreation, creation is probably the thing that drives us the most. And, and creative could be, I have a standing water over here and I need it to be there. So my creative solution is to get a shovel and dig a trench over to there, right? So it starts with the observation, and then I don't want to say intuition, but what is it? So you observe something and ask, what does it mean? And even to a point where you can kind of flip it upside down or juxtapose it to get a different look at it. And what does it mean if I look at it like this? So, and I think not enough people do that on a daily basis. And a creative person is doing that on a minute to my minute basis. In
It's
fact,
interesting you say that.
A storm.
It's interesting you say that. I like that idea. You're talking about observing and absorbing what's around you. And then sometimes even by accident, you flip it upside down. So what happened was, I don't know, a week ago, maybe, Joanne was going to draw these tulips, and I found this picture of them. I was going to take a picture because they were blooming. When we were on a walk, we saw it a few blocks away, but I was like, hey, maybe I'll Google it and I'll find something. And so I found these tulips, and somebody had pulled them out of the ground and the roots were hanging, down here. So I was like, hey, what do you think of this? Maybe you could, use that as inspiration. So she started this watercolor and she started doing it. But then I was holding the laptop because I was down there. I was DJing while she was doing this. I was finding some music to play for her. And then I set the computer down and it was almost upside down. And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. And I flipped it upside down. And the roots when you had pulled the tulip out, the roots looked like hair, like spiked hair or something.
Yeah.
So it almost looked like person. So she stopped and she did one upside down. She just did it upside down, literally flipped it upside down.
Did she paint the flower or just the roots and the stem?
She painted the whole thing, but did it upside down. She has actually two versions.
So that would have been that's the point where when you make an observation like that as where you lock in on it, right? You noticed it's different because you noticed that, and she was the person who executed it. Had I pulled that up and go, oh, I want to paint a flower, and pulled it up and I noticed the roots and I'm going, oh yeah, the flower's been done a million times, but what's really at the root, pun intended, of the meaning of this flower, it's the nutrients that it draws. So just in subject matter term, the roots would have been a way more interesting subject matter than the flower itself. And I learned that from my first year drawing professor. And I wish I could remember the guy's name. He was just so cool. He was I want to say an old hippie. He seems like probably a war protester. He went to Canada during Vietnam or something, and just like smooth talking and easygoing. Chain smoked, back then. Yeah. If you were an artist, you smoked. Everybody smoked in class. It was, and so he'd come up, stand behind me, and if he'd do one of these, pat his pocket like he's looking for cigarettes.
We were just talking about.
I knew he was out of it. So I bum his smokes every time he walked over to me. He was like, he'd bum a smoke. Hey, so I'd offer him up. Yeah, you need a smoke, and he took us to see Apocalypse Now the day it was released. He's like, this has nothing to do with drawing, but it's art, and we got to see this.
And then you were all traumatized.
Oh, I loved it. The horror.
What's your creative process though? What if someone comes to you and is like, I want to do this? How do you start? Do you look for inspiration, or you just go on I want to do this? I've
been fortunate enough that I haven't had people come to me and say, I need you to do this. And I may have brought this. If I did, stop me and we'll talk about something else. Well, look, to finish the drawing professor thing was, so the first thing he did was he did still lifes, and he would just gather random junk, but it would be interesting textures, like ventilation and broken down gears and stuff, and he would put them in a thing because he didn't want us to be stuck on trying to do representational art. It's fruit, we need to make it look like fruit, right? It was an idea of this shape. And the first day he noticed all of us were just like drawing in the middle of the paper, because that's what you did when you were a kid.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
And he's like, all right, rule number one, I want the drawing goes off all four corners of the paper, right? And so what that did is make you had to focus in on an area and find something interesting within that still life, because it had to go. You couldn't paint the whole still life and make it go off the paint. You had to focus in, decide what was important, and be selective like that. And then secondly, he after about 3 weeks in class, he had everybody put their drawings up, and asked everybody in the class who did this one. We all, we tell the person's name. Everybody knew who drew what. And he's like, "Yeah, you're all too young to have a style. Just knock it off." Great guy. And so come back to, I'm sorry, diverted. We'll come back to your question was
your style or your art, your creative process.
Okay. So yeah. So then I had another this will get me to that point. Another design professor who had done one of his claim to fame was designed one of the Beatles album covers, but it was like a greatest hits package. It wasn't like Abbey Road or whatever, but
right.
We had mad respect for him. And he said, people come to you as a designer and want like a logo for their company, and they'll say, well, give me 10 thumbnails. And he says, well, I don't do that. And if they insist, then I tell them they need to find somebody else to do it. And he said, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down with you. I'm going to understand what about your company, or if that's what it's for, and how you perceive it and how you want it to sell. And I'm going to come up with the best solution for that. I'm not going to give you like 5 things to pick from, because you're not a designer. That's the reason you're coming to me. And odds are the one you pick is going to be the crappiest one. And that's what's builds my reputation. Right.
Right.
And so
smart.
And he uses the analogy, and you'll recall it when I say this. If I did tell you the story before, he says, I don't go to the doctor and say, "Hey doc, I got this pain in my side. Why don't you come up with 5 diagnoses and then let me pick the one that I like best?" Right. You don't have that respect when you go to the doctor that are going to do that. And so as an artist, I think you need to, if you're going to be a slave to your customer, and what you do you don't think it's the best thing, then you're just doing harm to yourself, right? And
you saying that too. My ex-father-in-law used to tell me, because he worked at a design agency doing that kind of thing, and he said that clients asked for that stuff all the time, where they would want multiple of everything to kind of pick and choose. And he's like, we would specifically make 2 or 3 terrible
really bad
ones.
Yeah.
He's like, because we want them to go to this, but he's like, the problem is sometimes they pick the terrible one and then we have to go with that. So it's one of those things. It's like, well, then why fucking do it at all? You know what I mean? Just say no to the client at that point. Like, no, we're not doing this. Like, these are our 2 best, or here's just the one that we know is really good. Yeah.
Because the truth is, if you're right and you really believe in it, then you're going to have that client for life, because they go, oh my, everybody loves this logo. They start showing it to other people, and other people, yeah, that's awesome. What's wrong? And it becomes the identity of their company, and they wouldn't change it for the world. Right. And you got them past that kind of that instant self-reflection. It's not, I had this when I was doing Harley, was the salespeople would come to me and say, hey, the dealers are screaming, they want something new. And I said, well, you mean a new version of an eagle and a flag? you don't mean something new, because I've been down that. I've done some stuff that was really outside the box for the Harley people. And you know, and at the end of the day, I think when it's different for fine artists. Like if you're not concerned with making a living with it, then do whatever, you know, whatever you want. It can be as crazy as you want. I think that the only like true art could be, if you think of art as an act of self-expression, is something somebody does with the intent that no one ever sees it.
So right there, that right
they made it for
there
themselves.
Is, I think, a struggle with a lot of artists, because what's your take on balancing? We sort of had this conversation last week, I think it was, with Zach Merrill, with, you know, industry versus creativity, because
he said he liked to be between artistry and industry.
Fall somewhere in the middle, because how do you know, so she has to produce, she wants to, you know, paint something that, just like you said, that she wants to do, that's fun for her, that she likes. But then also the goal is you're trying to make a living at it. So you want somebody to buy it. But what if nobody does, because it's so something, you know, down this path?
So unique to unique to you, or what, or, you know, what you believe and stuff. Just as a to support that, there was outsider art is my favorite of any, like music, writing, poetry, painting, people who weren't professionals, who just needed to express themselves. I went to an exhibit in Atlanta of outsider art, and there was like, they had a guy's bedroom that he had just drawn and written just crazy shit on the wall. And you didn't know, is this madness? Is this brilliance or whatever? But it's definitely who is writing it for himself, never think anybody will ever see it. So as a commercial artist, and I think of myself as a commercial artist, emphasis on commerce, right? So you say that you want to find that balance between art and commerce. The truth is, the more weight you put on the commercial side, the more stuff you're going to sell. And that commerce is an act of communication, right? I'm creating a piece of art. So I'll use I started doing stuff for licensed sports. Grew up a huge hockey and Sabres and Bills fans. And when I looked at what was available in the market, there was just like logos, and none of it spoke to like the cool stuff that I thought of about the sport, especially like when I was a kid. Like the Rams and the Vikings were my favorite teams because they had the coolest helmets. Right?
That's true. The Rams had awesome.
A Ram actually looked like a Ram. It was like so self-evident, but
my dad was a big Rams fan.
Yeah, and there's a Fibonacci sequence almost going on with that logo. And then the Vikings was cool because it took me a while. I thought it was wings until I found out it was horns. You know, it's like they look like wings on the side. Oh, they got horns on the side of their helmet. But so when I had a chance to start designing from that, and you know, we didn't have a deal. It was just, hey, let's do something cool and take it to the NFL, and maybe we'll get a license. It was just looking at what was in the market and saying, this is lame. When I think football, I think aggression. It's violence. It's a replacement for war. We don't have to war as tribes anymore. We can put our teams on the field and they can represent us, and nobody really gets killed, right? So, you know, the first thing we did was like mascots, because every team had a name that was associated with it, but nobody was like bringing that to life. So, you know, the obvious one is like the Bengals. We're going to do just like a fierce ass tiger, you know, and try to capture that so the question there was, is this going to resonate with the sports fan? Because I think they see the same things as I do, right? These observations that I'm making about what I feel when I watch the sport, I'm assuming those people share that same emotion with me. And I think to a large degree, the baser the instinct, the more people you can appeal to.
That was really popular for you, right? Like that series for all those teams.
Yeah. And then
It was very commercial.
And then follow that up with, again, observing, like looking at the football game and what do we identify with the team? Like the mascot is one thing, but even more than that is the helmet, right?
Right.
And nobody was doing like 3-dimensional, real looking helmets on shirts. And I think that was a case where I was able to find the essence of the sport in a symbol, logos. That's the fact that football, and people will see the helmet not intuitively put it together, but they'll understand it on a base level that the reason you have to wear a helmet in football is because it's a dangerous game, right?
Yeah.
And in the sound of a helmet crack is something that gets everybody in the stands excited, and it kind of even throws back to like medieval days, where you went into battle with a helmet on. So what I was saying was the baser, the closer you can get to baser instincts, the more people you can communicate to
and relate to.
Well, horror movies are a great example of that, right? Like at a certain age, I would watch any horror movie, no matter how bad or good it was, right? And those themes, it's kind of, if you've had a hierarchy of like human emotions, like fear would be, if it's not at the top, fear and anxiety is not at the top. It's sure close.
Yeah, for sure.
So Dave, to sum up this creative process, what I've got so far is I'll list it off and tell me what you think. So you kind of, I guess in step one or stage one, you prepare. So you kind of emotionally prepare, try to get your head in the zone of being able to create. Stage two would be absorbing and observing. We talked about that, like observing things around you. 3 would be let these ideas percolate and try and come up with like a direction you're going to go to or go with. And Joanne's tried that many times and still trying to figure out which direction she's going to go. Then there's 2 more. Stage 4 would be figure out what's practical. It's like, what can you actually do and create and make? And then I guess you have to balance that with commerce. Like, can you,
I was going to say, you need to decide what side you're on, right? If you're doing it for yourself or if you're doing it for commerce.
Or where, or how, I guess there's this spectrum and you can go.
That is probably step 1, though. that what you put last is probably 1.
Well, maybe. The last thing actually I have is the fun part, which is creating. So like actually doing it, like doing the paintings. And so, did I miss it? Or maybe I have step 5 should be step 1. So like, what do you think? Like, of that, to sum this up, sure. What do you think?
I think that's a presupposition. Like you when you're thinking about creating something, you already know whether this is for commerce or it's for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't, but you need to settle that battle and settle it quickly. Like, I'm not going to do what I like. I'm going to try to communicate to somebody else. And if there's one more point I can make on this, and it'll take me 5 minutes to get through it.
Yeah.
To identify like where creativity comes from, right? And I think you have a brain and you have a mind, and the mind reaches out beyond the dimensions of your body and interacts. It projects and it takes in, right? And on a larger sense, the universe, our existence, I believe, is the creation of a mind, and I can demonstrate that by using this analogy. If you come across an old abandoned garage and you find a piece of canvas on the floor, and it's just got like black and red spots, and maybe some white, and they're all dripped on the canvas, you'd be reasonable to ask, is this just a mistake, or did somebody create this, right? And what you could do is call in a scientist to examine it, and they go, yeah, I don't see any patterns here. There just seems to be random drops all over this place. This is probably a drop cloth. And then somebody steps in and says, well, actually, that's a painting, and that was created, and it was a Jackson Pollock, a guy I was friends with, right? And his intention on this was to, show the disorder, disharmony, and without knowing whether Jackson, if we just take him aside as a historical figure, whether Jackson Pollock really existed or not, all you would have was science's explanation of this appears to be totally random, and you would have a witness or a prophet saying, no, this was created, and all you could do is just take their word, believe it or don't, right? And those are your two choices. But the next thing you find in the garage is a portrait, and now there's no denying, because it's fine. It's because it's finely tuned. This isn't this isn't anything random, right? This just couldn't have happened by somebody accidentally dropping paint, right? So for me, that's like my understanding of the universe. And if you want to call it God, if you want to call it whatever, because I don't think it's important, because the thing is what it does. There's a meaning or intelligence or creativity, again, kind of that all exists outside and independent from space-time. If I'm at any point I'm sounding too weird, then what you're getting is me with bowling with the bumpers down, and I'm still using a house ball and rented shoes. I mean,
this is fine. Like, hey, we're going deep. We're talking about the meaning of life here. And
I just took some shrooms. I'm fine with it. We're good.
Well, no, because it comes back to the creative process. So to think that it's coming from inside of you, from your brain, it's not. It's inspired. All creation is like divinely inspired, I believe, and so it's a matter of connecting with that. So how do you put yourself in that position to connect with that? And so to come back to what I was saying earlier about when Andy was saying one of the processes, when you said let it percolate,
mm-hmm.
I would replace that with let it come to you, because if you observe and are open to interpreting those observations, the answers will come to you. They're external, they're not internal. And
like it may happen when you're taking a shower or something. Like that's why I was saying, like, okay, let it percolate. You've observed all of this. You've absorbed your environment, and now you're just like going through the motions, and then all of a sudden, it hits you. You're like, oh, this is what it is, and you don't know when. You might be driving down the street.
That happens to me 100% of the time. 100% of the time when I put the idea there, and then I go, okay, do something else. Like you don't have or you think you have the answer. I try not to, and then I let it. And it's kind of like working in low. It's when you can't come up with a name, right? You're like, I know this name, and then you stop talking about it. And it gets sent to a part of your brain where it's working at low res, and it's digging through all the files. Like a day later, you'll shout the name out, right?
Well, I think it's because I think it might be because, when I mentioned, it comes to you in the showers, because you've gotten everything else out of the way. Like right in the shower, you're just standing in a shower. You're not thinking about anything maybe, and you're not like trying to focus on this and that. You don't have all of these interruptions and throughout your day, and so you're in a headspace anyway, where that all of a sudden it comes to you, and maybe it's part of the universe too, like we're talking about, like it's just you're inspired and everything is just the energy is right, and boom, it hits. And so I agree with that. I really like it. Thanks for sharing.
Like I said, I mean, just condensed. It's external, not into. If you look for the answers inside yourself, I mean, the odds are you're just going to do something you've already known. And truthfully, I don't know what it was like working in the age of the internet. I purposely, and a lot of the reason people don't know me in this industry is I stayed away from shows. And it was not because I don't know if I come across as an introvert. I'm not necessarily. I don't. But it was I didn't want to be influenced by what other people were doing, and I knew that if I saw what they were doing, and so I can imagine trying to come with. Well, I'll do some searches on the internet, and then you'll see something. You go, I like it. Oh, but I'm just ripping that off. You know, at that point, you might as well be using Chat GPT, right?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think you get to a point too where you kind of get relationships or you get in a clique, and then everyone in that clique tends to wear the same clothes or do the same thing or like the same music. And then it's like, well, who is there anybody in this group that has an original thought at this point? We're all kind of doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you need to be an introvert to a degree to be like, well, I just need to do my own thing or have my own thoughts or have my own projects or whatever. So I think that's huge for an artist.
Yeah. But and again, you have to trust that those feelings are the same that other people have. And that trust only comes through experience, failure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was really successful. There was probably even more stuff that failed. That I tried.
I was going to say, in your career of making art for all these companies and whatnot, like how many do you think were like thrown to the side versus how many were actually selected?
Not many, because I learned quickly to cut an idea off before I was too invested in it, that I just dug my heels and refused to change. You know, I've had a couple of those.
You're just good at arguing. You're like, you like this.
No, it's good. It's good at observing. In fact, I'm sitting here now observing that three of us are wearing caps, right? What do I make of that observation, right? So I have a theory, and like, I don't know if you guys have rationalized this or even thought of like why. So I purposely started wearing a hat when I was working, because I would be in a place where there was a lot of overhead light. And so the first thing it does is your brain takes in 360 degrees. Now I've cut 25% of information out of what my brain has to process.
Like blinders on a horse.
It's so funny that you thought of it that way. Like,
but I mean, but it's true. Your brain, brain, this becomes zero space. Your brain doesn't process any of that. So it helps with eye strain, but it actually helps. Blinders on a horse is a great example. Like, focus on what you focus on. And I think us as humans, the only reason we need to see above this level where things used to attack us from the
like
sky.
An eagle.
Yeah. Like, I'm not worried about an eagle.
Right.
Like right here, right now. So again, that's for me, that's like just an example of the creative, what I think thinking creatively means. It means observing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Ask why. You'll drive yourself mad. You'll drive others around you mad. But looking at something and go, well, why is that? And it's almost like going to the gym. You build that first, right? And then, why is that inverted? What if I'm wrong about that? What if it means something else? What would be a juxtaposition to that? And once you get that, you'll have the confidence when you go into something, because you've done it before, and to let yourself be in uncharted territory. I'm sure, Columbus's second voyage to America wasn't so terrifying.
Well, Dave,
and probably just as many people died, but not as terrifying. He knew how many were going to die at least the second time.
Dave, I want to thank you for this limited edition shirt. I cracked the top 10, which makes me feel very special. And also I feel better than Dylan now. More important. So I thank you for that. And also thank you for coming on our 200th episode. It means a lot.
Well, thank you, and I enjoyed this, and as you can see, I'm kind of willing to go anywhere at any time with people who are interesting and willing to have a conversation.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's really, I mean, that's why
I wish we could have gone deeper into like the universe thing and into the wormhole. So we'll have to do that again another time.
Yeah.
I like
How about the 300th episode?
Yeah. Then we'll go so deep, and we'll take like we'll do acid beforehand. Thanks, Dave. We appreciate you, man. Have a good day.
All right, guys.
Later, dude.
Later.